Hey there, everybody. We are live. So the Warhammer preview should be starting in just a couple of minutes. Just forewarning, it is 1 a.m. here on the west coast of the USA, and I am tired. It has been a long work week, but I am expecting that they're going to be unveiling the 10th edition, launch set. Maybe give us some more information about the new edition. So I figured I'd go ahead, do a little watch party, and see who joins, and we can all watch it together and get excited for what's coming out over the summer. Now, from the last time I did this, I got caught off guard because Twitch did not send me a notification that they had went live. So every couple of seconds, I'm going to refresh this. They should be starting any moment. But yeah, no. So all evening I've been building little baby knights for Titanicus. I've had these sitting around, God, honestly, since the game launched. I got my Titans done really, really quick. So my Legio Storum, I've been playing with those for a couple of years now, but I never got around to building the knights. So I figured it was a good night for it since I was trying to stay awake for this. Just got a lot of building stuff done and out of the way. I think I'm gonna go for a fairly simple color scheme. I'm probably just gonna prime them all with a silver enamel rattle can, and then just color in the plates, and then focus on weathering to make them pop. But get them all done fairly quickly. We still haven't started yet. Got my G Fuel, trying to keep those caffeine levels up. Oh, we're starting. Let's go ahead and hop over to Twitch, which of course has an ad.
This human, do you know him?
He's my brother Mario!
Do princesses find him attractive?
Does he have good taste?
Hang on, Luigi.
I'm not threatened. Rated PG.
So, my fiance, who longtime lover of the lore, she'll steal my books, but has never gotten into the game, is a huge Tyranid fan. So this launch box might actually be the thing that gets her to give it a go. And I might be planning a super secret Tyranid army for her. Oh, there we go. There's their audio. I thought it was me for a second.
I think we're live.
Hey, here we go, here we go.
Amazing. This is something else. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Warhammer Fest 2023. We are so glad you can all be with us today. We're live here in the auditorium with 800 Warhammer fans. This is really quite a sight to see. And then the internet is piling as fast as they can into the Twitch stream on twitch.tv/Warhammer. So whichever medium you are joining us with, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
If you guys can't hear the Twitch audio, let me know.
My name is today by Adam, and we have some pretty cool Warhammer 40,000 stuff to share with all of you in the room and watching along on Twitch at home.
It is going to be incredible. I'm not sure I wasn't put on the right Primark, if I'm honest, but I will take it.
It was the only one available at the time.
I mean, yeah. The best Primark was still asleep at the point this was made.
I think so.
Yeah, there we go. Here's how it's going to work today. It's going to work a bit like they always do, which is we're going to show you for the next maybe hour or so some awesome Warhammer stuff, some of which you've never seen, I would hope. And it's going to be mega. Please be excited if you want to be. I will keep an eye on the Twitch chat. It is flying by. There's thousands of them in there, and basically it makes my brain spin. Literally the numbers are going up. But there's 17,000 people in the Twitch chat right now. Maybe give us a shout from where you are. We've had it here in the crowd already. Have people travel from as far as Mexico, Canada, and Australia to be with us here today, and we welcome you all.
Very, very cool, very exciting. Before we get too stuck in to this, Adam, have you been following all the news about the new edition?
I have. To be honest, I'm beside myself with it. I'm not sure. Like, this is genuine. You know, sometimes you feel like you're I'm going to talk to like Adam for a second. Like, it has never been a more exciting time to be a Dark Angels player. Like,
You have been spoiled with it.
I remember in 1995 or so sitting in my friend Alex's room reading Angels Death again for the first time, and you've got that epic bit where it talks about the lioness sleeping only the watches in the dark. No, oh man, wouldn't it be cool if just one day the lion came back and we live in those glorious times?
What time to be alive?
Yeah. So yes. So I queued up outside Warhammer World at 6:30 in the morning with a load of other very exciting people. Last Saturday.
Didn't finish it.
I'm completely ashamed. Have you done anything?
I've been painting.
I've got 100 now.
So we have got two factions we'll be focusing on particularly today, Space Marines and Tyranids. I'm curious by like a noise in the room sort of thing, which one people are most excited about. So could I get a cheer in the room if you're most excited about Space Marines? Quite loud. Cheer for Tyranids. There you go. Okay, so I think it's probably time for us to have a look at our first video in which we will be looking at the new launch box for the new edition of Warhammer 40,000.
Alright, let's go.
Cool. I've got one! I've got one! Stole mine! Stole mine!
This is really quite heavy. I'm not gonna lie.
The beast. This is.
I hope they have a
this is
slideshow with like better pictures.
of Warhammer 40,000, and in a surprise to everybody, inside the box contains Space Marines and Tyranids. Who's out of nowhere, So it is a chunky box. It is at least as large as the previous edition of Warhammer 40,000. There's loads of models in there. There's about 50 Space Marines, 25 plus Space Marines, about 50 Tyranids, rule book, all sorts of stuff. So we'll be opening that up in a second as we go through some of the slides. But I think the first thing we're going to take a closer look at is some of the miniatures. So we're going to start with the best one.
Oh wow, that is pretty awesome. It's nice that they've included some bigger bugs. Is that a new Hive Tyrant, or is that something else? That last model felt like it had a lot of Predator influence. I'm digging everything I saw, though.
There we go.
I could ask myself, how would we know facing this way when the video was finished? And that reaction kind of helped. So thank you, everyone. What an incredible range of awesome new training models. Any relevance?
Yeah, so we'll go through some of the models in the box. Some of them we have seen before as we kind of built up to this release. Some of them are brand new on the show today. So we start off with the Tyranid Prime, who is the kind of de facto leader of the Tyranids. This is a model we saw online, I think last week. And this is a flying Tyranid warrior, alpha beast, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. We're familiar with the concept of horrendous, basically, bigger,
Yeah.
it's an incredible model. He towers over any of the things in space. And it's going to be a really fun thing.
It gives you another way to do a very flying base. But let's move on. We've seen that guy before.
Go on then.
Another unit we have seen before, Von Rein's
I really like these.
hunting breed of lictor type creature, and they hunt in packs basically. They can deep strike in games, they can pounce out and kill enemy characters and units, grab objectives and that sort of stuff. The models are just really cool. They're kind of like a mantis shrimp, praying mantis, sort of weird.
They've definitely got a strong lictor element. Smaller probably that fair to say. 40 mil base yeah, these guys are going to fill that space in your force for scouting.
This is new. This is a psychophage. So this is a Tyranid psycho-eating feeder beast, basically. So this is a brand new thing. We haven't seen these before. This is a variation for the new Tyrannic War, and a little bit like some of the other Tyranid creatures we've seen before. It consumes lots of biomass, but this has a special preference or a special particular taste for psychic creatures. So if you've got things like librarians or you're up against like Thousand Suns or something, this guy's going to have a field day chowing down on those, and he gets special rules to make him more deadly against psychic enemies. That sort of.
He's also capable of something called a psycho's column.
Oh, that sounds nice.
A bonus point if you can say that after a long day of playing Warhammer. My favourite thing here is that it is literally in the process of devouring.
I think that's actually like librarian blue. That's
Yes.
my headcanon.
Yeah, or
See?
I love it. And yeah, seriously creepy. It's got this huge feeder tentacles on its base. Just bring up. If you have a really close look, you can see what the sharp style teeth.
It's like a lamprey, isn't it?
Yeah, it's awesome.
We've got a new breed of gaunt. There we go. This is the barb gaunt. So this is
Oh, interesting.
The Tyranids. It's not a biolore. It is a new kind of creature. So you have the gaunt at the bottom, and you've got this kind of parasitic gun beast that's attached to the back of it, and it effectively fires suppressing artillery rounds at the enemy. So quite short range for Tyranid artillery, and it's more about suppressing enemy formations than taking out things like vehicles and stuff. So it's kind of, if you imagine explosive frag-esque sort of round being fired out.
Yeah, a couple of fun things to note in it. The weapon on the back is a biocannon. It's going to be a bio something after all. But the weapon is a symbiotic creature, which is clinging to the back. So there is two material forms from that one model, and so one's in charge of the lumbering around the end of that place, in charge of biocannon at the enemy, I guess. Quarterable bases again. So these are bigger than your average gaunt, is fair to say, and perfect for the artillery.
I quite like it's the first Tyranid I think we've seen that's only got 3 feet on the ground. That's got one of its kind of sidearms is kind of stuck into the side of the.
There's something very creepy about the way.
It's like lopsided. It's a bit weird.
Yeah, there's something very creepy the way that Tyranids interface with their weapons.
Yeah, it's not very possible. Then we have another new type of gaunt. These are Neurogaunt.
Oh, wow.
This is a slightly smaller breed of gaunt, smaller than termagants and hormagants, and they are effectively completely subservient to the will of their synapse creature that they defend. So you have a bunch of these guys watching your big synapse creatures, and they just throw themselves in front of bullets. They become more powerful when they're within synapse range. Otherwise, they are kind of blind and leaderless.
So yeah, if you look at the squad, there's 11 of these, and the one in the middle, I believe, is the. Got to get the name right. So one of them is a node who leads the Neurodons. So I mean, not a squad leader in any conventional sense, but the one most capable of taking orders from the hive mind and making sure that they coordinate with the synapse. Without it, they are quite.
And what kind of creature will they be looking after? It will be one of these. So this is a Neuro Tyrant. So
That thing is awesome.
Good. So we saw this guy in the cinematic trailer for the new edition of Warhammer 40,000. This is an alternate army leader, basically. If you'd rather go psychic heavy rather than combat heavy, instead of a hive tyrant, you can have one of these at the head of your force. And it is just an entirely psychic creature that is very, very in tune with the shadow of the warp. So as well as having some pretty horrific psychic powers, it can also bolster the
I like the membrane, like, over the brain. That is awesome.
Yeah, a thing to note is the Tyrannid creature, however we should refer to an alien horror from another dimension, it's flanked by neuroloids, which kind of like synaptic relays for it.
Like signal boosters for your Wi-Fi.
I mean, like I guess all the best, like, you know, sort of premium centerpiece models have little people carrying things for them.
Don't know what you're referring to.
I just saying. This guy appears to have people carrying his psychic brain power.
Yeah, if you need more brain, you can have a couple of spare brains following around.
Yeah, frankly, if you want to literally blow people apart with mind bullets,
Good to know. One thing we noted about this guy, which I thought was quite cool, it looks quite a lot like, those of you remember the very, very, very early Warhammer 40,000 Zone Thrope. It's got the same head. So that's kind of fun. Yeah, I think that was the best model ever when it came.
I do love the fact that spiked crown that sort of comes all around the top of the head. There's some really lovely sort of shared design language here. The Neuro Tyrant is part of the Hive Tyrant, same genus as the Hive Tyrant, very much leadable.
And then probably the star of the Tyrannid half of the Leviathan box, we have the Screamer Killer, which is an enormous great version of the Carnifex genus. This is not replacing the Carnifex. You can still put Carnifex in your army. This is a different, bigger, bruisier version of the Carnifex. Famous from the, I think, second edition of Warhammer 40,000 this first came out. You can either smash people with 4 enormous claws, or it can shoot plasma out of its face. And when it does that, it makes a big scream, which is where it gets its name.
Out of its face, bioplasmic scream. I remember, like, I mean, who here? Come on, I would like a brief poll. Who here remembers the original Screamer Killer releasing? Yeah. It used to fire a plasma pistol. That was the way the rules were rationalised, right? Yeah. So, remember?
There he is on the screen.
Ah, well, there we go. You can see the shared heritage, although I'd like to think that we've come a little way. Oh man, that's nostalgia. More nostalgia there. I love it. Cool. So,
one last thing as well, of course, very important.
everybody's most important thing in the whole set.
You also get some Rippers. So the last version of Rippers came kind of sprawled across the rest of the Tyrannid range, but mostly you got them in the Termagant box. The new Termagant sprue also has Rippers on it, so if you get some Termagants, they still come with Rippers. And they look very similar to the current one, so you can happily mix them in with any existing Rippers you already have.
I actually struggled to tell the difference. I've got quite a few Rippers when I was staring at these for a while. They're going to match beautifully with your existing Tyrannid armies. Anything else got a Tyrannid army out there? There was a lot of cheer for them.
They will soon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And one of the things about this box, the Leviathan box, is that the two halves of it, if you take some of the models from the Tyrannid side and some of the models from the Space Marine side, you can make them both into functioning combat patrols for the new edition as well. So on the screen right now, that is the combat patrol for Tyrannids in the new edition of Warhammer 40,000, and you get it in this box. There we go. Right.
So that actually kind of gives us an indication of what the price might be. So if we're getting 2 full combat patrols, factor in a little bit of a discount.
Forces engage the remnants of Leviathan. Soon, their foulness will be but a memory.
Oh, that apothecary looks awesome. It's like Gravis armored.
Well,
You really have to give like kudos to the Warhammer design team that have put all this amazing effort into these models, and also to the photography gang in the Warhammer TV team who made them so dope in the videos.
they look very cool, don't they?
Just awesome. Where do we even begin with this?
Let's start with our captain. Start with the start with him. Let's start with the captain in Terminator armor. So, yep. So Terminator captain. We knew we had a squad of Terminators coming. We knew we needed someone to lead them. We have this guy in the box. Adam, what do we know about him?
Oh, well, there's a lot to say, right? The first thing is the Warhammer studio, the FML team, painted this in the colours of the Ultramarines. You can paint yours in the colours of any Space Marine chapters you wanted. The details that are on there are not Ultramarine specific. Those are managed by the paint job and the decal, on more which later. But this is in the colours of Severus Agaman, who is the captain of the first company of the Ultramarines right now. And it's just incredible, right? The work that's gone into upgrading the Terminator armor. So it's exactly the same Terminator armor we've always known and always loved, just like refined over years. And it just looks incredible. He's clutching a storm bolter. He's got this awesome relic power sword. Awesome to love.
Yeah, it's quite an imposing model as well, because the new Terminators stand a little bit taller than the old Terminators, and this guy's also got a bit of a scenic face. So he's standing on the head of a slain screamer killer there.
Yeah, he's already done a good morning's work.
Yeah. But because of the size of the base and the size of the new Terminators, you can put this guy next to something like Abaddon, and it doesn't look like he's wildly outmatched. Now, he might be wildly outmatched, but he doesn't look like he is. That's
Yeah,
the point.
absolutely. He's a big boy, and he looks awesome. And as I say, if you are a
So I'm curious, did they upgrade those to 50 mil bases?
you could paint him bone, and that'd be perfectly fine.
Then we've got a new squad in Tactics armor. This is the Infernus squad.
All the flamers,
So
all the time.
This is a whole squad of Primaris Space Marines with flamethrowers, basically. So if you're thinking that you're going to go up against lots of gaunts for some reason, 10 flamers
I like it.
will do a lot of damage.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen this weapon type appear for the first time with the Black Templar release that happened, and I'm lost sort of in a time. What was that, last year? I want to say
2 years, I think.
So living in a time.
Maybe 1 year.
And yeah, so we've seen pyroblasters before. We've never seen them in this volume, I think it's fair to say. And when you are purging terrible Xenos filth from your planet, it might be nothing better.
Yeah, absolutely. And these guys will sit very happily alongside things like your intercessors and assault intercessors and fill a similar sort of role. But if you think
So
that, rather
this
than the
unit
bolt rifle or
is an
like that,
excuse
you can
to
clear
start
the
salamanders, for sure.
It's worth talking a little bit about the set. There's loads of dynamism and cool poses within it. You've got the sergeant, which looks
Sergeant's very cool, isn't he?
yeah, he looks awesome. You've got one,
It's like you're not worth the flamethrower. He's getting his knife.
and then you've got one who's going to lob a grenade in just to cook everything off.
Okay, cool.
Love it.
So the next squad. So we have a new unit of Stern Guard veterans. So there's some quite cool stuff about this kit to note.
These
So,
are
they
Primaris.
are, in Primaris scale, certainly. One thing you'll notice is that some of the models in this unit, the warriors have started to take bits of relic war gear and incorporate them into their suits. So if you look at the top left, you'll see that he's wearing, I think, Mark 7 helmet on him as well. And I think there's a couple of shoulder pads in there that look maybe a little bit iron armory, perhaps.
Yeah, the nice thing, and I could wax lyrical about Stone Guard. One, because they're one of my favourite units, and two, because these do such an amazing job of sort of bringing them bang up to date, I guess. They represent the sort of fighting elite of a chapter. They're first company veterans, hence you can see white shoulder pads trim. But they've got awesome combi weapons. You've got the one with that sort of very portable looking heavy bolter. And this is a chance to sort of really see that bridge maybe coming between the Primaris army that's been rushed out as part of the Indomitus Crusade and how it's bedding in with chapters.
Yeah, they've started to take bits of relics and
Absolutely.
older bits of armor and mix in tabards and stuff, and these are starting to feel very like veteran Space Marine, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think people are going to really enjoy putting their own stamp on this unit within their collection. I know I love putting veterans in my Dark Angels army. These would just be another veteran squad for there's something very cool about it. All the tilting plate for the sergeant, they gives you a chance to have unique heraldry. Yeah, I could run through what like the various options and things they have. We're talking about all the combi weapons. I don't really know how much further I should go. It's worth adding they are single pose in this set.
Yep.
So if you are like me and you just like being able to build things fairly quickly, that's no problem.
Cool. Let's have a look at the next thing. And we have a new apothecary, apothecary biologist. This is an apothecary in Gravis armor. We haven't seen one of those before. And this guy's a little bit different from the apothecaries we've seen previously in Space Marine armies, is in that he isn't necessarily going to be healing your Space Marine troops. He's got a container there to take biological samples of enemies and stuff. So if he's up against Tyranids in this set, he might be trying to get like material or data from synapse creatures or something like that, to capture some like synapse nodes, that sort of thing. But what he does when you put him into your units is, because he's got that expert knowledge, he can give them bonuses and buffs. So this is buffing your own units rather than healing your units for this particular version of the apothecary.
Yeah, you're going to be able
Interesting.
to attach him to units of Gravis armored troops.
I really like the detail on the apron with the tools, like the forceps and whatnot.
He's cleaning the corpses of the dead will be super useful. And an
And that containment chamber is pretty cool
I think he's
too.
going to Blood Angel up quite nicely, this guy. They like apothecaries.
Yeah, absolutely. He's armed with an Absolver bolt pistol, so he can still do the Emperor's Mercy should it be required. But really, he's there to make sure that your troops have all the buffs.
And 40k's cutest chainsaw.
The little one on his shoulder.
Right, let's have a look at probably the centerpiece kit then of the Space Marine force, which is this guy, the Ballistus Dreadnought. So this is a reinvention of a classic kind of Dreadnought style. We've seen with the Redemptor Dreadnought and then with the Brutalis Dreadnought, the other two options, the kind of tactically flexible, the combaty one, and this is the other end of the spectrum, which is an all about long-range shooting Dreadnought. So you've got twin las cannons, missile launchers, and loads of bolters on there as well. So this guy sits at the back of your army supporting your long-range troops and taking out enemy heavy armor and monsters, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you see in the video it like blasts the Screamer Killer, doesn't it?
Bit mean, I think.
This is what you need if you're looking for some walking firepower. It's got the very like strong gun emplacement vibes to me. You can imagine it sort of lumbering along, hunkering down, giving you the good news at long range, and then advancing with the main force. It's everything to love. The guns are a ballistus missile launcher and a ballistus las cannon. Also has twin storm bolters. This thing is walking death.
Yeah, it's going to kick out quite a lot of firepower. And a reinvention as well of kind of the classic little boxy Dreadnought. So there he is, next to his granddad.
It looks so small
Talk
now.
to my son like that again. Yeah,
Something like that. But like a really, really nice kind of classic style of Dreadnought that's it's nice to see make its way into the new edition with a reinvention as well. So yeah, I think it looks great.
I also hear, and this is, we'll need to confirm it close to time, but I understand that as you build it, there are layers of detail inside that once you cover them up, you'll never see again. But if you are like true to the cause, you'll paint those before you glue on the outer sarcophagus.
You're crazy. Yeah. All right. Okay, so that's the whole box. That's all the miniatures all together. So there you go. Get a sense of what you get. So loads of Space Marines, even more Tyranids. It's a very, very packed box. So in terms of like big kits, you've got 4 significantly like centerpiece kits in that box.
So before we go on, which thing out of the miniatures in this set are you most excited about?
I think the Screamer Killer. So
Really?
it looks wicked.
So if they're saying it's 2 combat patrols, and those are about 140 retail USD.
Never got one because it was big and metal.
So, you know, 2 of them, you're talking 280.
Turn of
I feel like they'll probably round that up to like 300 USD.
Carnifex kit, but actually seeing it properly reinvented.
I really like the
Space
Tyranid
Marine
half of the
I
box.
think we've seen it before, but I really like the
The Space Marine stuff is kind of cool. I'd probably split some of those kits, you know, to different armies. So the Terminators, I actually don't know what I would do with those. I have Dark Angels, but I have a ton of the old Terminators, and I don't necessarily want to mix the scale in the same army.
It's very clean. And Tyranid-wise,
The Infernus Squad is
amazing.
definitely calling to me to start Salamanders, though.
But it's gone mad. And
So that whole Space Marine half might end up becoming Salamanders.
But a lot of talk about the cannons right now. So we'll trust them. Is that everything in the box? We're done.
So that's all the miniatures. There is more in the box. We have the Leviathan book. So we're going to take a little bit of a closer look at that, and we have a video to tell us a bit more about what's going on with that book.
Let's go.
The book that comes in the Leviathan box set is packed with background on the setting of Warhammer 40,000 and the various forces that fight across the galaxy. Inside, you'll find inspiring photographs of miniatures and immersive artwork, along with the core rules of the game and a narrative crusade campaign based around the Fourth Tyrannic War.
It's kind of cool that they included
Cool. So, as well as all the miniatures, you get
a campaign.
all of this stuff in the box too. So you get your Leviathan book, which is closing on
Have you
400
heard of
pages.
Timmy Giant's White
you've got
Gamer
some
chart?
cards.
I have not heard of
And
that
we've got
chart,
the
Mr.
preface.
Minnesota.
If we talk about the book first,
It's massive and heavy.
Yeah.
There you go. That is my official summation.
so that, as you expect, there's loads of background in there. It's got a little bit of an update on what's going on in the galaxy. All of the usual.
I'll look
kind
it
of,
up real
setting
fast
stuff,
on
so
the
give you an
phone.
overview of the various different factions that are fighting. The core rules in there are quite interestingly done because they've got their own page numbers, and what that means is
That just threw me, actually.
yeah. What that means basically is that wherever you get your core rules, whether you're going to be downloading them for online or you get them in this book or separately in a different book, whenever we reference a page number, it will always be the same. So they're kind of broken out as a little separate thing. The book itself, in this format, is going to be exclusive to this box. The contents in there will be available separately in different forms, so you'll be able to get the rules bit separately and the Crusade bit separately and all the other bits. But if you want it all together in one big book with the lovely Leviathan cover, the only way to get that is in this box, and that's also where you get all that stuff first as well.
Makes perfect sense. 392 pages, hardback, got a nice black ribbon, and it is exploding with lore and rules and awesome material which you'll want for your enjoyment. And
Do you want to tell us about the transfer sheet element?
I
love transfer sheets.
it's true, it's a bit nerdy, but I immediately squirreled the transfer sheet as soon as Eddie opened the box. I've got the stats on the transfer sheets as well, for those of you who are listening. There are 849 separate decals on this sheet. Some of them are really, really tiny. And it covers, can you see on the screen? No, it's not on the screen. You'll just have to trust me. It covers loads of different chapters. You've got Ultramarines, Dark Angels, Blood Angels, Space Wolves, as you would expect. You've got the Raven Guard.
So
as well.
the first article I found about this chart was like related to Magic the Gathering, but it looks like you have the Power Gamer, the win at any cost, and then the sort of underdog. I'll use all the crap cards to like try to win. I don't know if I fit into one of those categories.
This box comes with full set of mission cards, which is what we talked about on the community site yesterday. Basically how you generate games.
If I had to describe myself, I'd say I'm more.
Of the box, you can generate match play games basically with this deck of cards.
I also love how the backs look like.
So as the game's playing on, I'm sort of like imagining almost like a movie of it playing out in my head. So I have a very strong lean toward narrative gaming. But I'm definitely not like a win at any cost kind of person. Like I like, I don't want to put anybody in a gotcha
The
situation.
Leviathan box is packed full of exciting Space Marine and Tyranid miniatures that will tell a great story. The contents of the Leviathan box are telling a story that's probably typical of any number of war zones across the Bastior subsector, which is the region of space the north lot of the battles in the early parts of the Fourth Tyrannic War take place in. You can see a number of different Tyranid creatures, including assimilator beasts, eater beasts, creatures that typically only turn up towards the latter stages of a planetary invasion. The Space Marines have turned up with their own deep-striking, teleporting First Company strike force to disrupt and destabilize Tyranid assault. This planet's probably already doomed, but if the Space Marines can effect victory, they can destabilize Tyranids, they can drain the hive mind of biomass, they can force it to expend and waste resources, which is something that the hive mind never wants to do when it's conducting its invasions.
If
The Space Marines can't achieve victory.
Yeah,
here.
my big goal is
They're
just,
ready for this
yeah,
world.
everybody have a good time.
Armies trying to gather themselves and prepare for fresh waves of Tyranid assaults. The Space Marine Strike Force includes a number of First Company squads and characters. We've got a Stern Guard veteran squad who are equipped with a variety of different bolt rifles with specialist ammunition and combi weapons so they can be targeting different Tyranid creatures and be sure of success. There's a Space Marine Terminator squad equipped with Stormbolters, Power Fists and an Assault Cannon who are capable of mowing down many times their own number of Tyranid enemies. The Strike Force is led
Okay,
by
described
a
like that, yeah, I'd agree.
Terminator
A mix of
army
those,
go toe to
for
toe
sure.
with enormous Tyranid monstrosities. And a Ballistus Dreadnought equipped with las cannons and missile launchers capable of taking out armoured organisms like a Carnifex. My favourite model in the box, and perhaps the most important member, is the Primaris Lieutenant, a representative of a previous expedition to this planet being recovered by this Space Marine Strike Force. So he is covered in trophies and improvised armour of defeated Tyranid
I love
creatures
this
as
model.
he is fighting behind enemy lines for quite some time. If you prefer the idea of destroying, consuming the Imperium rather than fighting in its defence, the new Tyranid army in the Leviathan box has a whole host of new creatures, led by the Neurotyrant, a new type of synapse organism, far more psychic creature than the existing Hive Tyrant, just as commanding, a little bit less combative, but a force magnifier for the shadow in the warp that precedes all the Tyranid invasions. The Neurotyrant is backed up by a winged Tyranid Prime as a bit of an enforcer, capable of flying in and dealing with any pesky Terminators that would threaten the Synapse creature in charge of the swarm. And there are some bigger creatures. The Psychophage, or Witch Eater, is an assimilator beast capable of consuming any biomass on the planet.
Oh, cool.
And kicking out all sorts of corrosive spores. It has a particular
I haven't seen any of those, but I do enjoy some of his videos. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Iconic and recognizable representative of the Tyranid hive mind in this collection. A wonderful update to a classic design.
Yeah, so a little bit more there about the background of the lore, about what's going on in this box. One of the things that does come in the Leviathan book is an entire Crusade supplement for Warhammer 40,000, which deals with the Fourth Tyrannic War. So if you're a narrative player, and that's how you like to play your games, you have an entire Crusade in there, basically, which you can play with either the Space Marines or the Tyranids, or any army that wants to join in with the Fourth Tyrannic War can take part as well. And in the narrative, it also includes things like Astra Militarum and Custodes and the various other factions.
It's a really nice inclusion for the launch box.
The Tyranid tendrils, basically.
I think it's a perfect opportunity with this box, assuming that you're going to split it with somebody in a nice. You can essentially, you and a friend can really start diving into an awesome narrative experience. The Ultramarines have a long history of battling, the Tyranid invasions, and it's a chance to really jump into some cool storytelling with your games, right out of the box. It's really cool.
So we will be bringing out the Crusade element of the Leviathan book separately. So if you don't want to pick the Leviathan book up, if you wanted to just get the rules separately somehow, you can still join in with the narrative through the Crusade expansion. And that's basically how Crusade rules in the new edition will be delivered. Rather than being in your codexes, the narrative and narrative gaming will come out together as campaign supplements. So if you want to follow the big narrative beats of the edition, you can do it that way. Very cool.
Awesome.
Obviously, it's got some glorious new artwork in it, so we've got a little bit of a teaser about some of the things that you can see. There's all the campaign books these days are full of absolutely glorious bits of art, and they give you that kind of evocative look and feel of what it's like to face the horror of Hive Fleet Leviathan in the Fourth Tyrannic War.
Yeah, I think we talk a lot about the grim darkness of the 41st millennium and how, doomed humanity is and a galaxy totally at war. But I think the bottom left picture really sums that up for me. A very forlorn-looking guardsman, just as the horrors of the universe unfold around him.
There's like a living tide of Tyranids about to consume him. He's got his lasgun, and he's like,
Worst job ever.
Strength 3, go, go. Doing all right. If you want to read along with the story of Leviathan as well, we will be bringing out a novel for you Black Library fans out there, which is called Leviathan. So nice and easy to remember, by Darius Hinks, and this tells the story of the Ultramarines' first company in a particular battle against the Tyranids of Hive Fleet Leviathan. Cool.
Perfect.
Might have to check that out.
Good book. Alongside this box, we've talked a little bit about them already, but just to give you the full spread, here are the index cards that will be released alongside or very soon after the box of Leviathan. And you can see you've got 28 different decks of index cards which are available for all the current factions in Warhammer 40,000 effectively. These will be available as cards, which are really convenient. You can kind of have them in front of you and lay them down in front of you for your games. If you want to, though, you can also download these from the internet.
Yeah, I agree. I do like that.
Leviathan box. Grab yourself some index.
You know, if you get your hands on this launch box,
Yeah.
like you're good to go with the new combat
We've got one last
patrol
bit of,
mode right away.
40,000 news to share with you today. We're basically
Yeah,
gonna
same
give
here.
you the
I don't have the
roadmap
time for
the
the mass battle games
for Warhammer
all that
40,000.
often.
So, no pitch. Oh,
Ooh. People like maps.
I like that. I like that. So just in case you didn't believe us that there'll be some stuff following the Leviathan box, here is what is coming in the first year of Warhammer 40,000. So we've got, for summer 2023, you have the Leviathan box, of course, with the core book in it, which is also available separately, and the Tyrannic War book, which is also available separately, and the chapter-approved mission deck, which is also available separately, and all of the index cards you need to play. And then, in a surprise to nobody, the first two codexes of the new edition will be Tyranids and Space Marines, and they will be with us in autumn of 2023. And
You'd have got the lowest odds ever on that, but you would have won the bet.
it's true, it's true. And then before the end of the year, we will
I
also
hope they
have a new
address
codex for Adeptus
if
Mechanicus
codexes
and
are gonna have rules, or is it purely gonna be like lore and hobby stuff?
We will have an absolute smorgasbord of codexes.
Because if we're going right back into,
Tau Empire and Chaos
you know, that
Space
power
Marine.
creep cycle of
really nice
every new
spread.
codex is gonna be the hottest thing.
The other
That
thing
has
about
me
all of those
concerned.
codexes is that all of them will come with at least some new miniatures.
If you put a pin right now down, this could be the best year ever for Dark Angels then, couldn't it?
It could be. Could be.
Man, I can't wait. Awesome. Right. Where does that leave us?
That brings us to the end of the Warhammer 40,000 preview. That's been very cool. Have you got anything you're most excited about there, Adam?
Terminators and Stone Guard, miniatures wise, I'm super hyped for a new era of Warhammer 40,000 gaming, if I'm honest. I know we'll talk more about that over the coming days and weeks and months. Well, it's not even a month. This coming period of time, and a chance to sort of get my armies out and use them fresh again. My Tyranids have sat on a shelf for more than a year and not being used. It's a chance to get those out and refresh them. So I think the thing will be the Stone Guard and Terminators. The feeling, though, is just what a great time for Warhammer 40,000. What an awesome time to be excited about this hobby that I've enjoyed since I was a 10-year-old boy.
I've got 3,000 points of Tyranids at home, so I think that I might dust those off and bring them back to the battlefield.
Bring everything you've got in your army battle against my dark.
Could be.
Sold.
Be.
Right.
Right. If,
I was nearly, yes. So, what we're going to do next is we're going to say goodbye to the very excellent people who've joined us in the Twitch stream. Right now, 36,700 people watching concurrently. Thank you for spending your time with us. It has been a delight to have you, and we can't wait for you to tune into more previews across Warhammer Fest. Don't feel that you need to step away from your computers if you're with us on Twitch. There's going to be streamed gaming throughout the event. There is just like 100 meters through that way, an enormous event.
So I'm gonna go ahead and turn their audio down since they're wrapping up. So, you know, just some of my thoughts. I'm more excited about the Tyranid half of the box. So I've never played Tyranids. Although I've gotten a smattering, handful of miniatures for them over the years when they were included in other boxes that had like Space Marines. So there was a Blood Angels box. God, it might have been 5th or 6th edition that had some Tyranids in it, and those were the first that I ever got. But yeah, no, like giving them some new troops choices and the new models just look stellar. That's actually the half of the box that I'm personally excited for. The new Space Marine stuff is cool, but I mean, power armor is power armor. The Terminator resculpts, on the one hand, I'm glad that something so iconic isn't going away. And I really like the new models, but like I said, you know, I already have a ton of Terminators for Dark Angel's Deathwing. So I'm not super excited to paint more Terminators. The new Inferno Squad definitely feels like a good excuse to start some Salamanders. So I might lean into that with the Space Marine half. It's one of the few Space Marine sort of founding legions that I don't have a force for already. But yeah, no, I'm more excited for that Tyranid half. You figure if you add that to the existing combat patrol, I mean, that's a fairly sizable Tyranid force. Tons of Termagants. You get some of these new troop units. You have lots of HQ options. And if you're into the 3D printing, you can take the existing Hive Tyrant kit and you can print off a 3D printed proxy for the body. So you can get a Swarm Lord and a Hive Tyrant, or you could do a Flying Hive Tyrant and then one of the other two to kind of extend out that kit. So it tends to be a good value. See what else. I really like that they're including a narrative campaign right in that launch box. So if you're new to the hobby and you pick up that box with a friend, like you're able to get into it right away and start playing, which is absolutely fantastic, and sort of like build this narrative in your head and kind of make your own story and get immersed into the game world right away. That's really, really awesome. I do have concerns with the codexes. So it's like right at the beginning of 10th edition, everything's going to be quote unquote balanced. Everybody's getting, rules refresh, point updates, everything right out the gate. And then within a couple of months, you're dropping codexes, but we don't know what's going to be in those codexes just yet. So, we don't know if, Space Marines are going to work one way from, like June through August, and then in September, they're going to work completely different and be the new hotness until, a couple months later when the Tau Codex releases. So I'm kind of hoping that they don't put the army rules, behind the Codex paywall. I hope that they keep everything sort of like indexified to create a word, because it's almost 2:00 in the morning here. And, just kind of, just like most other games in the market. So like War Machine, Malifaux, Infinity, all the core rules for all of their armies are free. And, they're constantly being, balanced and, having updates and everything based on, playtest data. I would like to see Warhammer kind of, follow suit, but we'll see. I highly doubt that they, would do something that hurt their bottom line. So, I mean, putting the army rules in the codexes, makes sense, but from a business perspective, but we'll see. Yeah, no worries, Squadifs. I will probably do the Age of Sigmar session, and the Horus Heresies session. If anybody wants to join me for those, I'm probably going to have to skip out on Kill Team because I'll be working. But I'm going to try and catch at least those two sessions over the weekend. But it's super late. Caffeine's wearing off. I'm going to go ahead and call it for now. Thank you all so much for joining me. You can find me on YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram at JTS Wargaming. I post like a lot of hobby pics, work in progress stuff over on Instagram and do some, hobby videos and tutorials and whatnot on YouTube. Currently working on the line as well. I want to finish that over the weekend. So yeah, come back and stick around if this is your vibe. All right, have a good night, everyone. See you later.